is just around the corner, and today we're going to showcase where I think each and every one of the League One teams will end their season out in May. Will they get promoted or will they get relegated? We're going to find out next. That's right, folks, back once again with a prediction video. Today we're taking a look at, of course, the 2023-2024 League One campaign. I'm going to showcase who I think is going to go to the top and who's going to go down to the drop. That's right, and we'll have a look at it, all of it, in just a second. Of course, if you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe button, bounty. All things League One related, Blackpool Rovers related, world football related. We get it all here, boys, under one roof. Of course, we try to do this each and every season. I did do my very, very early predictions. That was back in May, but a lot of things have changed. New managers have come in, players have gone, that sort of stuff. So what do I think right here and now as we edge into the final few days before the campaign starts? We'll take a look at all of it in a second. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. They are the patrons, of course. But anyway, let's get into the Vortex. We're doing it a little bit, I don't know, a Jeopardy style or whatever you want to do it. We're going to start, of course, as we do in the middle of the pack. We'll a bit of a tease towards the drop, and then we'll do, of course, another tease all the way to the top. So we're going to start smack dab in the middle. And that smack dab in the middle goes to these guys. That's right. It is Charlton, of course, coming at you. Recently picked up Theo Dunn from Blackburn Rovers, so hopefully he will have a good season there. Keeping hold of Miles Lieben, of course, also will do themselves no harm. So coming into this middle of the road team, manager Dion Holden, of course, formerly of what was it, Bournemouth. Didn't really get much of a crack of the whip back in those days, but another middle of the road season I'm expecting for Charlton, so nothing too crazy. Alfie May as well coming in, brought in from Cheltenham Town. He may score some goals for this team. Also, a couple of big players going out. We lost losing Joe Wallacott, of course, Hibernian, of course, Macaulay Bonne, one of my favourites. Don't know where he's going to end up, but he's also left the club. Once again, but middle of the road for Charlton in 13th. Into 14th now, it will be Oxford United. That's right. Times have changed. They've had a bit of a wobbly season last season. This time around, something a little bit more different. Bringing in Josh McEachran, of course, coming in from MK Dons. Ruben Rodriguez from a promotion-winning campaign from Notts County. Mark Harris coming in from Cardiff City, a player linked with a few teams in the Championship, perhaps. But of course, Liam Manning, formerly MK Dons manager, first full season in charge for him. Last time around, they were 16th. This time I have them, what did I have them? I have them at 14th, so a little bit better, but still far from the days of Carl Robinson. So into 15th now, we have a new boys, Leighton Orient, the Orient as they're called, coming at you, bringing in the likes of Daniel Ajayi, coming at you from Crewe, youngster from Manchester United, Ian Galbraith as well, a bit of a hot shot, Joe Piggott from Ipswich Town to kind of boost their chances of survival. And I see it. I do see it. They do have to do things a little bit differently with a new goalkeeper. Lawrence Vigoro's gone off to Burnley. The Chilean. Is he a Chilean? I don't know. It's kind of like maybe I think he's probably more Chilean than Ben Barrington Diaz. But anyway, he's off. Of course, the manager Richie Wellens did a fantastic job last season. Can he repeat the trick this time around and keep them in the division? I think so. I think they're going to have enough in the tank to get over the line. Of course, relying on experience such as Darren Pratley in midfield as well. But Leighton Orient, no problems there. Safely into 15th. Next up, of course, we have Shrewsbury Town. The Shrews, of course, managed by, is it a new manager these days? Matt Taylor coming at you this time around for a full campaign anyway, bringing in the likes of Morgan Freeney from Carlisle. We've also got Taylor Perry from Wolves. Of course, keeping hold of Elliot Bennett for me is a good one. I thought there was talk that he might have packed it in or decided to do something else. But also losing the likes of Matthew Pennington to Blackpool will be a costly loss. But of course, mid-table for Shrewsbury. Nothing too exciting this campaign. But of course, they also kept hold of Tom Bloxham. Blackburn Rovers signed another Tom Bloxham. We were linked with this guy, and of course, he could be the guy they're pinning the hopes on for scoring a lot of the goals this campaign. Kicking on forward, we're going to go take a little look at Shrewsbury. We're going to take a look at these guys. Carlisle United coming at you, and I have them down into 17th spot. Again, promotion via the old playoffs this time around. Paul Simpson done a fantastic job there. Some key players in that team. You've got Thomas Holloway between the sticks. Of course, you've got Ryan Emerson as well in towards the top end of the field. Of course, bringing in the likes of who else did we bring in? We brought in Jaden Harris, of course, from Aldershot, a bit of a youngster there. Joe Garner as well, coming from Fleetwood Town, bit of experience in those legs. But losing a couple of key players as well. Who did we lose? Just Ron McDonald, maybe. Ronald McDonald, of course, Kelvin Miller as well, going to Crewe. But of course, again, survival is the aim for Carlisle this time around. And I think they'll do just enough to hang on in here this campaign. Moving on to 18th spot now, and it's Stevenage, yet another promoted side. Of course, what did they do? Keeping a hold of Steve Evans, did a fantastic job for Stevenage last campaign. Maybe I didn't really see. Actually, I think I did tip them to do very well last season, but I didn't think them to do it in such flair that they did this time around. Of course, bringing in also some players as well. Nick Freeman from Wycombe Wanderers, Ty Ashby Hammond from Fulham, goalkeeper, free transfer there. Harry Anderson from Bristol Rovers. Some key names is in the mix for Stevenage. Losing, of course, Luke Norris to Tranmere. Who else did you lose in there? Jake Reeves to Wimbledon. That might be a bit of a loss. Danny Rose to Grimsby Town as well. But Steve Evans, and again, Stevenage should be all right. Just enough to stick in the division. Into the final five now we go. Who else is going to survive by the skin of their teeth? I have Wigan, of course. Wigan starting with an 8-point deduction, if my mathematics is correct. Losing a whole bunch of their players that were in the championship. So no Ryan Nyambe no more. Max Power's gone over to Saudi to make a bit of money there. Will Keane's gone to Preston North End. Who else did you lose? Gwyn Edwards left on a free. Graham Shinney went up to Aberdeen once again. But they did bring in some players. Liam Morrison from Bayern Munich, of course, of all players. Callum McManaman from Tranmere, a veteran. Now, is that the Callum McManaman? 32 years of age, returning back to Wigan. Of course, Matt Smith from Arsenal as well. So some, a mystery, but a lot of mystery surrounding Wigan at the moment. Sean Maloney as well. So I think they'll just survive, but not great season ahead for the Ticks. So next up, of course, we have is Cheltenham Town. They are in the division for a couple of seasons now. Wade Elliott, the manager, but I just think time is up on this guy. However, some big sight or more experienced heads in on the docks here. We've got Curtis Davis coming in. Of course, 38 years old now. He'll be a part of that back line, you would imagine. Also, pinning hopes on Liam Surcombe in midfield, as well as goals coming at you, possibly from Aidan Keener, of course, a young Irish forward there. Also losing the likes of who did you lose? Ryan Broom to Fleetwood Town, Charlie Brown, of course, went to Morecambe. A couple of players also down to non-league football there. But unfortunately, I just think the quality is not going to be good enough. Division is a little bit tougher towards the top end. Northampton Town, of course, promoted as well with the likes of Stevenage and Carlisle. But of course, these guys, unfortunately, I just think they're going to be a little bit short in this time around. Not much transfers either. Just a couple. Patrick Bruck coming in from Barrow and Manny Moth coming in from Walsall. Defensive transfers, of course, manager John Brady done a fantastic job so far with Northampton Town, being in the mix for promotion for a couple of seasons now. But I just don't think they'll do this good in their first season back in the third tier this time around. Of course, looking at goals from Lewis Apre, of course, formerly of Dundee United. Sam Hoskins as well in midfield or out wide, should we say, driving forward. Could give them a bit of spark. A bit of a tough one as well. Also, Sean Dyche's boy, Max Dyche at the back line there, hoping to give them a bit of fight moving forward. But for me, unfortunately, Northampton Town, they're going down. Joining them will be Burton Albion, of course, that's right. Been in and around the mix, of course, for relegation for a few seasons. Dino Manamina, of course, the governor these days, bringing in the likes of Mason Bennett from Mill, big signing that is. Raheem Harper also coming in from Memphis. Some good, strong signings here, which may prove to make me look stupid. Cole Stockton coming in from Morecambe. Goals in that legs of Cole Stockton there. So Jamal Blackman from Exeter. So there's some wise signings. Maybe I've got this completely wrong. I don't know. But they did lose the likes of Cameron Bothwick Jackson. He went off to Poland. We've got Craig McGalvery gone to MK Dons, goalkeeper there. Lewis Mott went up to Dundee United. Up in Scotland. Some other players, big time players as well. Sam Winnell been released at the moment. But I've got them going down, but I might be wrong on this one. So come back in May to laugh at me or say, well done, Dirk. You got that one spot on the money. Joining them, though, will be Cambridge United. That's right. Unfortunately, they're going down. Mark Bonner been fantastic for Cambridge so far. If he proves me wrong and does well and get them in top half, then I think he could be the next manager, following the likes of Schumacher or matey boy from Preston, out of this division and getting out on his own merit. Duffers as well went to Swansea, so he could be right, but I just feel like this season's going to be a doomed one for Cambridge moving forward. Bringing in the likes of Jack Stevenson from Oxford United, Jordan Cousins from Wigan, Sulika Kai from MK Dons most recently, but for me, not enough. Harvey Nibbs as well, goal scoring machine right there, off to Reading, so they lost him. So I think it's a bit of a woeful season for Cambridge, but that's just my pick on this. And joining them at the bottom of the season will be, of course, Port Vale. That's right, they are 24th, going down in my eyes. Of course, the manager these days, Andy Crosby. Of course, bringing the likes of Conor Grant from Plymouth, Jason Latwell, of course, from Oldham, Connor Ripley also from Morecambe. A couple of decent goalkeepers there. Tom Sang from Cardiff as well. Losing the likes, though, of Aidan Stone to Notts County, David Warburton Barrow. Of course, last season, I don't even know where they finished last season. They finished around about 18th. So, yeah, I think they're going in the wrong direction for them. So, unfortunately for me, Port Vale are going down. But who, of course, will be going towards the playoffs. Let's take a look at that now then, shall we, as we start to focus on the top end of the table. All right, folks, next up in my eyes will be in 12th spot, Fleetwood Town. That's right, of course, still managed by Scotty Brood, doing a fantastic job for them last campaign. What can happen for them this campaign? Of course, a few transfers so far this season. Finley Armstrong coming in from Burnley, Ryan Broom coming in from Cheltenham. He had a bit of a dodgy tackle in the game in the pre-season, so I'm not sure what's going to happen with him there. Danny Mayer coming in from Plymouth as well. Harry Wright from Everton, losing the likes of Danny Edwards, Darnold Johnson, Josh Kearns. So a bit of a turnaround in players, maybe started to reshape this team in the eyes of Scott Brown. Of course, towards the top, though, for them this season, not going to be faced a drop in my eyes, but I don't think they're going to be happy with 12th, but they're still moving in the right direction. So for me, 12th spot, joining them in and around that area, will be in 11th spot. The Imps, that's right, Lincoln City, managed by Mark Kennedy, the former Liverpool player back in the day. Of course, bringing in, of course, some transfers these days, just a handful. Lucas Jensen coming in from Burnley, Rico Harkett Firechild from Portsmouth, losing, though, the likes of Regan Poole to Pompey. Joe Walsh, also losing him as well. Charles Verman to Grimsby Town. Yeah, middle of the road team still lacking goals, I think, or a goal threat this campaign. But we'll see how they do middle of the road, and they could maybe squeak in there if they get a good run of form. But I think Kennedy surprised me last season to at least keep him in my consideration moving forward this campaign. Next up, of course, we have into 10th. It is Pompey. That's right, managed by John Mousinho, formerly of Oxford. First full season for him at the reins. Of course, maybe the hopes or the aspirations of Pompey aren't as high as I expect for the past seasons. Of course, the Cowley brothers are no more. Mousinho now trying to do something a little bit different. Of course, bringing the likes of Conor Shagnowski coming in from Burton, Will Norris coming in from Burnley as well, Ashley Scully from Wigan, of course, Regan Poole from Lincoln, just mentioned that prior. Of course, losing the likes of Kieran Freeman, of course, Michael Jacobs, and Lewis Thompson, as such, Ryan Tunnicliffe also been released. But yeah, nothing. I'm not really feeling the buzz at the minute. I usually pick Pompey in the playoffs, but this season I just don't feel it. So Pompey for me, a little bit short. In 10th though, into 9th spot, we have Exeter City. That's right. Of course, still managed by Gary Caldwell. Last season, just trying to finish. They finished 14th last time around, so maybe a little bit a bigger push towards the top end of the table as well. Bringing in, of course, some players, Vincent Harper, Reece Cole, Tom Carroll coming in midfield to maybe pull some strings. Losing the likes of Javon Blackman, Giovanni Brown to League One opposition. Kevin McDonald also dropping down a division to Bradford City. Josh Key going to Swansea, though, one of their sought-after players from last campaign. Nothing too exciting, though. Just a little short, perhaps, I would say, for Exeter City. Into 8th spot we go now, and it is Bristol Bloody Rovers. That's right, still managed by Joey Barton. That's right, first season back last campaign. What's going to happen this campaign? A little bit closer to those magical playoff spots, but I thought it was just a little bit shy. Still Giovanni Brown coming in from Exeter City, Luke Thomas coming in from Barnsley, James Wilson coming from Plymouth as well, George Friend from Birmingham, big signing that is for Bristol Rovers at the back line. Losing the likes of Harry Anderson to Stevenage, Callum McDonald as well, the Man Huddersfield Town, a couple of other players as well moving out the door. But this one's a little shy here. It's 8th spot, a couple of spots shy of the playoffs, but edging closer for Barnes, boys. Into 7th spot we go now, and it is, of course, Peterborough United. That's right, coming at you. A couple of big players lost, though, of course, losing Jack Taylor, instrumental in their midfield last time around. Oliver Nurborn's gone to Blackpool, of course. Joe Ward's gone to Derby, some big losses in that midfield and the back line there, of course. And moving into bringing them in, Archie Collins coming in from Exeter, Roman Cricklow from Huddersfield Town, a couple of forwards as well, Tushmanga from Chesterfield, and David Kawa from Wimbledon. Of course, Darren Ferguson usually does magic, but I have him just shy here in 7th spot, which probably will be a little bit disappointing, but I think it's a bit of a transitional season for them moving forward. So this season, just shy, but next season, after this one, of course, who bloody knows? It's a 6th spot, of course, we go now, and it is Barnsley, of course, now managed by Neil Collins. A bit of a mystery on this one. It should be, of course, if Michael Duff had still been around, I would have tipped Barnsley to do top 2. I think there's going to be a bit of another a couple of steps backwards here for Barnsley, of course, missing out in the playoffs last time around. So key players going out the door: Will Lancaster, of course, Luke Thomas, Mads Jewel Anderson, big loss there, going to the Premier League. Bradley Collins as well, going to Coventry as well. So some key players losing out the door. Meanwhile, transfers coming in, bringing in the likes of Andrew Dallas from Solihull Moors, Max Waters from Cardiff, keeper Kapag Lokpata coming in from Woking, the Polish guy. But also still on the books, Callum Stiles, of course. Fantastic job. Also keeping a hold of Luca Connell, did fantastic job last season, formerly of Bolton, formerly of Celtic. Ollie Shaw as well. So they have the ingredients in there. Fabio João, Devante Cole, goals in this team, some creativity, but can they work under this new manager? We'll have to wait and see. But for me, 6th spot for Barnsley, that'll just about do. Into 5th spot now, it is Wycombe Wanderers, of course, now managed by Matt Bloomfield. Of course, bringing in, of course, likes of Richard Keogh, a veteran at the back there, Luke Leahy coming in from Shrewsbury Town, Kane Vincent Young coming from Ipswich as well, Joe Lowe, as of course an improved back four, of course, losing though the likes of Jordan Upton going to Hibs. We've got Nick Freeman going to Stevenage. Lewis Wing has gone to Reading. Big signing for them as well moving forward. But yeah, a bit of a mystery as well about Matt Bloomfield, but I thought they finished the season quite strongly last time around. I just expect them to continue where they left off and maybe surprise a few getting into the playoffs. So for me, they're in 5th. That's the playoffs. But of course, who will join them in 4th? It is Reading. That's right. Of course, throughout the summer, matey boy, former Sheffield United manager, the name escapes me right now, Chris Wilder was linked with this job. And if that would pulled off, I think they would have been number 1 guaranteed. But they're taking a punt on ousted former Southampton manager Ruben Selles. Of course, so we're not too sure how he will do, not only in full-time position, but also down here in League One. Bringing in the likes of Harvey Nips, Sam Smith, Lewis Wing, Charlie Savage, of course, some young, exciting players in there. Losing, though, the likes of, who did they lose? I'm not too sure. A whole bunch of players. I'm sure they lost Paul Ince, or Paul Ince's son was there, wasn't there? Tom Ince, there we go, and a whole bunch of other players as well. So, yeah, definitely an interesting season. They're keeping the likes of Jaro as well. Lewis Wing has now been brought in. He'll be a good set piece. Andy Cole is on the books with the number 2 shirt as it stands. So we'll see how this Reading team shapes up. It could be a fantastic season for them in League One, but I do expect a few bumps in the road for them ending up in the playoffs and in 4th spot. Joining them, though, into the playoffs will be in 3rd. That's right, Blackpool. That's right, goodness gracious me. And it's an interesting one, is Blackpool coming at you right here, right now. Of course, Neil Christie back at the hot seat. Of course, losing Jerry Yates, massive in the attacking lines. However, they have strengthened with Carl Joseph coming in from Swansea. Bit of a 1-for-1 there. Oliver Norburn as well coming in from Peterborough, a bit of knowledge of this division. Richie O'Donnell coming in from Rochdale to maybe shore up their goalkeeping ranks. Matthew Pennington as well. But losing, of course, Jerry Yates, massive. And Reece James as well to Sheffield Wednesday. Gary Medine gone. So a bit of a turnaround in players, but question marks remain. Of course, can they ride this new wave without the goals of Jerry Yates and get themselves into consideration. There are still some key players in this, and I do have them in what is it, 4th or 3rd or something like that. So yeah, good season. Critchley's back though. Keeping a hold of him is massive. But of course, out of the players, into the automatics we go, and it is Derby County. That's right, still managed by Paul Warren, bringing in some experience here and some other bits and pieces. But of course, Bradley Johnson back at Derby, more of a coaching capacity as well. Connor Washington from Rotherham, he's a bit of a nitty-gritty striker. Sonny Bradley at the back could have been promoted with Luton, but of course opted for Derby there. Kane Wilson for Bristol City, Curtis Nelson at the back as well. Losing, of course, some players as well. James Chester, a bit of an old-timer there. Christian Bilic went to Birmingham on a permanent deal there. David McGoldrick, Notts County. Jason Knight, big loss as well to Bristol City. But still enough in the tank, I think, and a bit of expectation on the shoulders now for Derby. Second spot for them, no more Sheffield Wednesday to dent their hopes. So good season for them, but not the greatest season, because that goes to Bolton Wanderers. That's right. I'm tipping them for a return to the Championship. A long time they've been in the doldrums here. Ian Evatt, fantastic coach. I think this is still a stepping stone for him. I think he can go much, much higher in the managerial rankings. Of course, bringing the likes of Joel Coleman from Ipswich. We've got Will Forster from Port Vale. Carlos Mendes Gomez on a permanent from Luton Town. Didn't really make the grade for them either. Losing the likes of Joel Dixon at Hartlepool. We've got Adam Senior to Halifax Town, MJ Williams to MK Dons. But yes, still the team is littered with Town Joan Dardyboy Vartson, still only 31 years of age. Ian Charles scores goals at this level. Cameron Jerome, another veteran forward. We've got guys who've been there, seen it and done it, and a bit of pizzazz in there as well, with the likes of Mendes Gomez, Kieran Sadler as well, winger, to provide a bit of stuff moving forward. So for me, this is it. This is the season for Bolton Wanderers. They're going to go the distance and, of course, get themselves back in the mix once again. Of course, let's go back there for 1 second. And, of course, can you see it? Where is it? There it is. That is it in all its glory. So for me, Bolton, Derby going up, Blackpool, Reading, Wycombe, Barnsley in the playoffs. Unfortunately, we're going to say goodbye to Northampton Town, Burton Albion, Cambridge and Port Vale. That's my picks. Let me know your own picks down below. And, of course, I want to let you guys know that we are going to be back full-time, 100% for League One predictions, starting from match day number 1 all the way through to the playoff final. And I want you to be there with me. We'll have an interactive prediction league, whether it is a Google form or whether it is a new website or what have you. We're going to be there. I'm excited for it. I'm in a new backdrop and everything. I know this is the same backdrop, but behind this, once the season actually starts, you're going to be licking your lips with the drool at how sexy the backdrop looks and how much enthusiasm and passion is going to be back in the League One predictions. Of course, all the helter-skelterness from last season is gone, and now we're looking forward to the new season, and hopefully you're going to be there with me along the way. But until then, guys, subscribe, thumbs up, let's get back into it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. That's my call to go. I'll see you later. I'm out.